Ghana has disbursed 10 billion Ghanaian cedis, which is about $909 million in interest payments under its domestic debt exchange program, marking the sixth coupon settlement since the restructuring began in late 2022. The latest payment, made fully in cash without payment in kind, aims to reinforce fiscal credibility and reassure both domestic and international investors, the Finance Ministry said. The DDEP forms part of broader efforts to stabilize the economy after significant fiscal pressures triggered one of Ghana's deepest economic crises in decades. Officials said continued servicing of restructured debt is central to rebuilding liquidity buffers and supporting medium-term debt sustainability. To unpack this, I'm joined by Isaac AJ, economic and financial analyst, SBM Intelligence. Thank you so much for joining me today, Isaac.
Pep, good to be here.
Yeah, same here. Good to have you. Now, Ghana has just paid 10 billion Ghanaian cedis under its DDEP. How significant do you think this is?
Well, I think there's a big signal and a strong one for the markets to send to investors, not just those in the domestic space, that Ghana is in pole position to actually, meet its debt servicing obligation for 2026 and other years. We know that the IMF program comes to an end this year, and there's a big signal to investors who decided to suffer some level of haircut that, well, the terms and conditions agreed in that DDEP or the domestic debt restructuring, government is in course to actually, stand with that, agreement. This currently close to about $1 billion that has been paid, and this is a state coupon payment. We understand since 2024. Government of Ghana has paid in excess of about $4 billion in coupon payment to domestic creditors who actually engage in the DDEP. Government of Ghana is yet to start the repayment of principals or the main amount of amortization when the breathing space ends somewhere 2030. And so for me, I think that is a big signal, and it tells investors that Ghana is ready to still do business.
Right, this is the sixth payment, and it was made entirely in cash, unlike previous cycles. Talk to us about this. I mean, what's your reading of this transition from payment in kind to hard cash?
Well, it tells you liquidity is good. Government itself is getting a lot from, the gold boom, where exports from gold alone in 2025 reached about $21 billion. That should tell you that government of Ghana is really cashing in. Unfortunately, it has not been the same story on the cocoa aspect. And so although you see government cutting down on its tax revenue this year, there's still enough liquidity for government to come in to do cash payments and not in kind. The only in kind payments we've seen under this arrangement was around $300 million, which was paid last year. And we understand the indication we are getting that all other payments will be in cash. But the big concern has to do with what this huge amount coming into the economy will do. Is it going to chase after dollars? How are investors going to spend this money? Are they going to, put it back into investment? Or is this going to increase the amount of money supply in the system, which will possibly, increase inflation, which is currently in single digits, somewhere about 3%?
I mean, those are very, very important questions to ask. But so far, how would you rate the government's plan to stabilize the economy after its most severe fiscal crisis in decades? Would you say the government has been doing extremely well, or are there lapses you think can also be fixed?
I think Ghana has been strategic, especially from the gold boom. The setting up of a gold board, which essentially is like cocoa board, which simply means that Ghana has now 100% control in the trading of small-scale gold in the space, which last year brought in about $10 billion as fresh forex inflow for the country. That's a very, very strategic move. And as a result of that, BOG is able to meet the demand from the dollar side. And we understand that interventions have been very strong last year, and they'll still continue to do same this year. And so on that tangent of gold, government has been very strategic. Ghana has also begun, it's already set up its own refinery, which will refine gold and add value to it for Ghana to be able to get more from the international market. And we understand that, gold refinery, Ghana will be able to refine about 1 ton of gold every week. with the prospect of expanding this kind of refinery in some months to come. And in fact, but the big concern still has to do with, although we've been strategic with the gold aspect going into refinery, Ghana is still facing significant challenges with its traceability program, which will mean that although the government of Ghana will be able to refine gold, but it possibly will not be able to get top buyers or premium buyers in the international markets, which will mean that Ghana would have to sell at a discounted price. The question is, if losses come, whose books will they be put on? Will they be put on the state-owned enterprise or government of Ghana? And so if you ask me about performance or stabilizing the economy, I will say that has been very strategic. Government has been strategic, but I will say that it is currently backed by gold boom. And the question we are asking is, what sort of buffers are we building so that when gold prices begin to come down like the way we are seeing in cocoa, what sort of hedge would government have created to be able to make sure that we will not find ourselves in a difficult problem we found ourselves maybe somewhere 2023, 2024?
Well, those are very, very important fiscal planning questions. Now, let's end this conversation with this. With plans to re-enter the domestic bond market later in 2026, I don't know, let me ask you first, do you think this is the right time? Should Ghana be thinking of this at this time?
I think, first of all, there's a delay because government was expected to enter the markets last year. They didn't. They themselves were doing the wait-and-see approach. But I would say that government has been very strategic again here in the treasury bill markets, being able to drive down interest rates from 30% to now about 8.5%, which means that it is now, good, maybe in a strategic way, government of Ghana can now come into the market because treasury bills are very low, and we've seen oversubscription for treasury bills, which means that government of Ghana can now come in and issue bonds around, let's say, 12% or 13%, which relatively will be lower than the 30% that existed maybe a year or two ago. So coming into the market was supposed to be 2025, but government has delayed that. We understand that they are going to test the market with what they are calling infrastructure bonds. Currently, nobody knows where the coupon rates will be, but we are getting indication that it could be around 10 to about 15%. Cocoa board itself, or there's a new financing model for purchasing of cocoa where Ghana is veering away from the syndicated loan. It is going to finance the purchase of cocoa using local funds, same bonds. Cocoa board is expected to come into the bonds market again on the books of government, on its own books, but government has done a lot of restructuring for them or taking away some of their debts. Cocoa board, we also understand, possibly could come into the market with coupon rates between 12 to about 16%. And so maybe the big test will come from the infrastructure bond, but maybe the first indication we'll be getting will be cocoa bills or cocoa bonds, which will be floated to finance the purchase of cocoa for the 2026-2027 season.
All right, Isaac H., economic and financial analyst, SBM Intelligence. Thank you for your time on the show today.